Hello and welcome to Piwik PRO YouTube video series. Topic of the video: enriching CDP profiles with Google Sheets data using Zapier. So, what we're gonna learn? First, we'll talk about the benefits of using Google Sheets to help us export data to CDP. Then we'll discuss briefly some example use cases, just to give you some ideas for your own use cases. Finally, we're gonna go over the step-by-step process of setting up the data export, CDP data enrichment process, if you will, using Zapier. By the way, if you have never used Zapier before, it's a very cool platform that lets you automate and integrate across many different platforms. And the best thing about it is a very user-friendly with low barriers of entry, designed for non-technical users. So in many cases, you don't need to be solution architect or implementation specialist to start using it. Most online marketers will find it easy to navigate. Okay, let's dive in. So, why use Google Sheets for Piwik PRO CDP profile enrichment? What are the benefits? First of all, Google Sheets is free, accessible, and easy for any team to use it. It is flexible, it accepts many different formats to be uploaded. CSV, text, Excel files, which allow for consolidation of data from multiple sources. In many cases, it will be just clicking export in one platform and then clicking import in Google Sheets. Perfect for quick and easy, as well as some advanced tasks. With Google Sheets, updating data can be quick without technical bottlenecks. And on top of that, Google Sheets lets you run data calculations or transformations for when you need your data to fit better with CDP. As a result, Google Sheets is an excellent tool for non-technical users to upload and sync data between Google Sheets and Piwik PRO CDP. Whenever a row is added or updated in Spreadsheet, the data automatically syncs with Piwik PRO CDP profile, empowering you, whether you're a salesperson or marketer, to build more powerful audiences for data activation. So, what would be some example use cases? Quick CSV export of some CRM data fields or properties, like users and their lead score, allowing targeted campaigns for high potential clients as an activation. We actually have a video on how to send such audiences to Google Ads customer list. I'll link it in the description of this video. Or another example would be users and their customer tier data. If they are on a gold, say tier, and we would try to activate them to become platinum client through some sort of personalized content on a website or within our SaaS product. Another example could be syncing data from support portal. You could upload your support portal data like tags or keywords related to certain user issues so that the next time they visit your help center or website, they will receive recommendations for content related to those issues. We can personalize content for them. This could help them improve their product skills faster and enhance product adoption for your platform. Another example could be data sync or data upload from surveys or feedback tools. We could then, for example, create an audience of users who give a low score on a survey, which would then trigger automated follow-up emails to potentially mitigate the issue and convey customer care excellence. Okay, so let's move on to the step-by-step walkthrough part of this video, where I show you how to set up profile enrichments with data from Google Spreadsheets through the use of Zapier. First, we need to go to Google Sheets, meaning I just want to show you Google Sheets. In here, I have a spreadsheet with some headers, email, lead score, region, satisfaction score, and churn risk. So that's likely to be data from CRM. But again, as I mentioned earlier, this can be data from any platform. And the important part is that you have some headers and some values for those headers. And those might be data from different platforms, not only from CRM, but mixed data. So you could have here some headers from a survey, or some sort of support portal or any other platform, and in here we have data from CRM and so on and so on. Important part is that we do have some sort of common identifier between platforms, and in many cases that will be email, so I'm using email, but that could be customer ID or whatever, as long as we can link two profiles from two different platforms to one and the same user, so we will actually enrich that data in CDP. And then here we have a lead score, region, so I have some numbers as values, and we also have some strings as numbers as well. So simple examples. Now, once we add a row or number of different rows, so we can upload many different rows of data, not only one, but we're going to do it one at a time. That data is then uploaded to CDP, but we're going to sync the data between Google Spreadsheet and CDP using a platform called Zapier. So Zapier has enterprise account and free account. I'm using the paid accounts or enterprise account that has some additional features. Perhaps you would need to use the paid version. In some cases, the free version should be enough, but there are obviously some limitations. And the way the Zapier works is that we have zaps. You can think of a zap as a single sort of integration between two or many platforms, depending what's your use case. But in our case, that's the integration between Spreadsheet and CDP. So I'm going to click on create a zap. And the way the zap works is that at the minimum, we need to have trigger and action. Trigger is basically what needs to happen in Spreadsheet. And then action will be once that thing in a spreadsheet happened, we're going to do something in CDP. In our case, that will be the data import or data sync, if you will. So let's create our very first zap, and we need to start with the trigger. So we click on trigger, we click on Google Sheets, and now I've already connected my Google Sheets account with the Zapier. So in here, I already have a selected Google Sheet, and I don't need to change that. I could potentially change the account if I were to have different Google Sheets account, but because I already connected, it's already set up in here. And in here, I just need to select the trigger, and in here, the email that is connected to this Google Sheets account. But in here, if you already see it, as I see it here, what you need to do, you need to click on trigger. And then from here, you have all different things that you could potentially do in your spreadsheet. But in our case, we're going to select new or updated spreadsheet row. There are some other options. So for your use case, you might be using some different options here, but I'm going to use this one. I'm going to hit on continue. And in here, I need to select a particular spreadsheet. This spreadsheet is called CDP spreadsheet. So I need to click on that and select the CDP spreadsheet, but I could select some other spreadsheet that I have here. So I'm going to click on mine, that's selected. Now I need to select worksheet. Because I have only one worksheet here, I'm going to choose my worksheet, which is profile enrichment sheet. Just want to make sure we know what thing comes from which place. And now trigger column. So we can potentially select which particular column we wanted to trigger, change of which particular column would trigger our spreadsheet update. But if you leave any column, it will mean that any sort of column update will cause the data to be synced. And this is what we really want, because we might have an email, but the lead score will change. So that will trigger update of our data, or satisfaction score will change. That will cause the update of our data. So I'm going to leave it to any column. But again, it's up to you what you want to trigger the action, which will be our next step. But let's finish up with the trigger. So now we are connected. We're going to test our trigger. What it will do, it basically will connect with our spreadsheet, and it will return what we have in that very spreadsheet. So we can see email, lead score, region, satisfaction score, churn score, and some other information that are sort of not useful for our use case, so we're going to ignore it. So let's hit on continue with selected record. And now we are moving to the action. So what we're going to do, and in here we need to select webhook. Webhooks are available in a pro version of the Zapier, so you would need to have that. But if you have that, you can select the action event. And in our case, that will be post event. So that's the best option for when you want to sync the data. So choose this one and then hit on continue. And in here, there are several things that we need to fill in. We'll start with the URL. URL needs to be taken from CDP. So we're back in CDP and we need to click on import data. So let's give it a name. So data import from Google Sheets, and we need to copy that URL, webhook URL. So let's do that. And then copy that in here. Now, payload type, we need to change it to JSON, because that's the sort of data format that our CDP expects, which is a standard format, by the way. And in here, we're not going to change anything in here. However, under data, we're going to basically select what sort of data we want to pull from the spreadsheet and how we're going to name it. So let's start with the email. Email is necessary. You could select some column. You don't need to select all of them, but I'm going to select all of them. First email. Here you need to click on the plus button and then select email. So now the name and the data value is being connected. We're gonna add a new value set. So another one will be lead score. By the way, try to avoid using any spaces. Just use the underscore under, so lead underscore and then score, and then hit on lead score. The names can be later changed in the CDP, so those will not be the names that we're going to be using in CDP, so don't worry. Another one is region. Next one is satisfaction score. And the last one, which is a churn risk. And now basically we have all the data. Let's hit continue. And now we need to send the test data. So that will be our test data that we're going to send. So let's hit test step. And then in CDP, we need to click on synchronize data to catch that test data. Okay, we can see that we see the data that we've sent. First, we need to start with the ID. Remember when I said that email is necessary because we need to match the identifier between different systems, and email is a good example of an identifier that could be used across different platforms. So we need to select email, and on our end, on Piwik PRO's end, on Piwik PRO's CDP's end, email will need to be stored under user ID, which is an attribute that stores the identifier, this common identifier between platforms. Then in here, we can select all of them or just some of the data. So again, even though we send all the data from Zapier, it doesn't mean we need to sort of accept it all on CDP's end, but we'll do that. So let's connect it. So if you don't have an attribute that you created beforehand, you can click on that. Let's do that. Churn risk. I'm going to change it to churn probability, just so we change some names and we don't use the same name. So in here, we choose the data type, so string, and we want to have the last value. The aggregation time, basically, sometimes we might be sending data multiple times. And we can decide whether we want to collect under attribute churn probability, whether we want to collect all the values or just some values. And when we think about some values, we can select only the first value or last value or first and last, or we can create a list or unique list. The difference between a list and unique list, that unique list will not have duplicates, whereas a list will have duplicates. So we're going to collect all the values. But in our case, we just need the last because that's the most recent value for a churn probability. So let's save it. Now lead score. I already have a lead score, so I'm going to use lead score. In fact, I have few attributes that have a lead score. In here, you may notice this message. The incoming value has a different data type than the selected attribute. It might be the case that the Zapier sends the 50, which is a number, as a string. So as a data type that is not a number, but as a word, you could say. But it doesn't matter in our case because we're going to transform it into a number. Normally what you would do if you were to create a new attribute, I'm not going to create it, but here you can choose number or string. So if we send it as a string, we can still change it to a number if we select the number. And this is what we did when we created a lead score. Now, next one is a region. So already have a region, and then satisfaction score. So I already have a few of those. I've created those while testing this sort of use case. And now let's save it. And now we have one successful import, which is a test. We can check here the raw data. We can see that it was a post message. It was approved. We can see headers and all that. Now, I would like to test it. and see, because basically the connection has been made. Now we need to go back to the Zapier and probably to finish up properly. Let's change the name of this app. So data import from Google Sheets to Piwik PRO CDP. So that's the name, and because it works all as intended, we can publish this up. So now it's live. What I want to do, I want to add new email. So that way, whenever we're going to change a status, so whenever there's some sort of update, so we could copy and paste some data into the spreadsheet, that data would have been then added in here. So let's do that. So I'm going to add, and then lead score is, say, 90, region is Europe, satisfaction score obviously 10, churn risk low. So now we've added some data, and in here, if I were to click on refresh data, this should give us the update. So let's do that, and we can see that we have one successful data sent. And again, you can check the row data, you can check the headers and all that. We can see the response time and all the information that are related to this data sent. Now we could obviously add multiple data, so let's do that. I'm going to copy and paste some values. So I've copied some data, and now let's move on to CDP and refresh the data to see that it can update multiple values at the same time. We can see that the data has been updated. We have some values, and it's just, as we can see, was added in our spreadsheet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to our channel. Check the description below to find some useful links like free Piwik PRO sign up page, community forum page, and links to related videos. Until next time.